Hensel here with the Urban Homestead. It is January the 6th, and it is 0 degrees outside. And I thought we'd take a few moments here to give a few words on how we got interested in apples. I have folks ask that question from time to time, and we never have the artifacts available as we were waiting on our customers, but here in this cold weather, we thought we'd get by the heater here and just give a quick talk on our own family. And this picture here is my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather, and this fellow was a nurseryman back in the 30s. I believe he died maybe in about 1950, and he would carry his plate book and walk through the train tunnel there in the mountain at Hagen, Virginia, walk over into Harlan. My grandfather tells how he would go with him, and he would go on sales trips. He carried the old plate book, and you even stayed overnight with folks, how they used to go and sell these trees. And so this is Mr. Elmer Davis, and then this is his family here in this next shot. And Elmer is the fellow here in the back. Here he is as a young man at home with his family, and his father is this fellow right here, Mr. C.C. Davis, and he ran the Silverleaf Nurseries over in Rose Hill, Virginia. His father is seated next to him here. This is Eli Davis Jr., and I believe it was Eli who knew how to graft, and he taught this son how to graft. And this fellow, C.C. Davis, had a pretty good-sized nursery business starting in about 1886 or 87, I believe it was, and then he finished up maybe in the middle 30s. I can't remember the exact date. And he would have salesmen that he sent out who would carry their plate book and take orders for trees. In those days, they sent the trees by train. They packaged them in a wooden crate, send them out to the different train stations, and I suppose folks then would come to the train station and pick up their trees. So when I first got interested in apples, I didn't know that my own family had been doing this sort of work. And I was visiting with my grandfather, and he came out and had a manila envelope full of the old plates, and he said, oh, here's these are from the plate book that my dad used to carry. He sold fruit trees back in the 20s and 30s, and so I didn't realize all that at the time, but when I got interested in heirloom fruit trees, I was actually getting interested in my own family history. So a little bit on how we got started. I'm Tim Hensley with the Urban Homestead. Our website is www.oldvaapples.com. Tim Hensley here with the Urban Homestead. Our website is www.oldvaapples.com. We did a video last evening about some of our family history and how we were connected to the nursery business, and in looking over that video, I realized that I made several mentions of the old plate books that these nurserymen would carry. And I realized that folks may not know what a plate book is, so I wanted to tack to this previous talk about nurserymen, about plate books, a little bit of information about plate books as well. And the whole plate book, here is a plate book that comes from one of the first fellows who put these together, a man named D.M. Dewey. And here's a image that shows, as they put it, an unpleasant home up in the top. And then at the bottom here is a pleasant home that's landscaped with evergreens all around and so forth. And so here's an orchard out here in the side. And so this is about 1870 here. And it was Mr. D.M. Dewey and maybe another fellow who came on the idea, here's the red astrakhan apple. They came on the idea that they would print lithographs and that they would put these in the hands of nurserymen. They were printers, and they wanted to make money as printers. They would put these lithographs in the hands of nurserymen, and they would be able to take their plate book around and show it to folks in order to help illustrate the apples and the other fruits that they were carrying. And then this sort of became a standard. These old plate books then became a standard. Dewey was located up in Rochester, New York, and there were a number of other companies that developed then right up in Rochester. There was the Mincing and Stecker, there was the Rochester Lithographing Company, M. Brunswick, C.R. Webster Company, J.W. Thompson. Those are some real nice lithographs. The Nicholson Company, Vredenburg, you'll see quite a few of those out. And then there were some folks over in Hartford, Connecticut, the Kellogg and the Bulkley Company and the E.B. and E.C. Kellogg Company, and one in Buffalo, New York, Stage, Sons and Company. So this got to be quite an industry, making these plate books and distributing them. Dewey even had a manual that he would send out with the book, and it was instructions on how how the salesman could go out and use the plate book and open it up. How did these guys get these apples illustrated? Well, this one comes from the nursery of my great-great-grandfather. This is the Reeser Green apple, and he was the only nurseryman to grow this thing back in the 1870s. But yet he has here a lithograph from the Rochester Lithographing and Printing Company of Rochester, New York. So what that means is that somewhere along the line he sent this very apple up to the illustrators in Rochester, and they did this lithograph. The process for printing these changed over time. Sometimes it was a multi-step process, almost like a stencil, that they would put down the leaves perhaps, and then the fruit, and it was a stepped process, and it makes these old prints to have an unusual quality about them. Sometimes you'll see where one color is laid over another one, and it will blur through. But we don't have the actual lithograph of this of the Reeser Green. One of our family members has this one. Well, even big nurseries got to where they used these lithographs. Here's an old Stark Brothers catalog, and as always, their catalogs are just full of info. Now, this was a salesman's plate book, and he would carry this thing around, and all the illustrations are beautiful. One interesting thing about these books is that they catalog and record the varieties that were popular. Here's the Black Ben Davis. Not many folks grow the Black Ben Davis now. Here's York and Mammoth Black Twig. We still have those. But in this book, there's a few. Here's the Shannon Improved, you see. Well, that apple was thought to be extinct, the Shannon apple. We have it in our collection. Apparently it's a shy bearer, so it has fallen into disuse. Oh, there was one in here called the Legal Tender, I believe it is. Now, here's the Apple of Commerce. It's no longer in propagation as far as I know. There's Legal Tender, beautiful apple, and highly regarded here in this book. But it has passed from cultivation for the most part. Well, over time, these lithographic companies, they couldn't do a special book for just everybody, so they offered sort of a standard book. And so here is, they would have certain varieties that were very commonly propagated, and you could order these books, standard setup, and then they would print your name on the fly leaf here, or the inside cover, and it would sort of make it your plate book. But you'll notice if you get to looking at these that these are all the same. Here's another one. It's a different company. Here it's Elmer Sherwood Company, but it's the very same plate book. So as this became more popular, these books kind of went into, they were standardized. Here's another book from the Reliable Nurseries of Rochester, New York. Here the printing method is changing. You can see it's all one stamp. It's not a multi-step process, and we even begin to incorporate some photographs here. A photo, I forget the name of that process. There's Catalpa bungii. It's a photochemical process, maybe they call that. Here's another book on in the line. Maybe this is in the 1920s and 30s, and you see what we have here. These are straight photographs, well, photographs that have been turned into prints. And so it was thought that that was an improvement, I suppose, to have a photographic image. But I like the old straight lithographs. Well, a couple more here and we'll be done. Here's a plate book that we got out of Georgia, and I'm partial to this one especially because it's so politically incorrect. It says here, "Notice to salesmen, this book is the property of Concord Nurseries. Take good care of it and keep its pages clean. Don't write any prices or anything else in it. Keep it out of the hands of idlers and children. Return it promptly when through canvassing." Well, that would offend a lot of folks today. This is a Georgia nursery, as I recall. So you see here some of the apples that they were growing. Quite a few different varieties. Here is the Carolina Red June. Before that is the Early May. Now here's an example of an apple that's apparently lost cultivation. I don't know anyone who has the Early May. It was probably propagated by this nursery alone, and they had a plate done of it, made up of it, but it is lost. Here's the Carolina Red June, which we propagate now. Here's a yellow transparent red astrakhan early harvest. We have all of those. Here's one called All Summer. I don't have that variety. Here's Summer Queen. I think it may exist, but it may actually be extinct as well. And so there's Grand Republic. Beautiful image, beautiful apple, but as far as I know, it is no longer being grown. Here's the Kansas Queen. Large apple. You'd think, oh, surely we've got the Kansas Queen, but I don't know that we do. And here we come on to the horse apple, yellow horse, and on through it goes. We have the horse apple in our collection. Well, if you were really serious about selling your fruit trees, then you might, I'll turn it this way, Eli's filming this for us. If you were really serious about selling fruit trees, then you might invest in one of these multi-page books, and you'd go in to the house there where the lady and the farmer were sitting, and you would open this up, and you'd just wow them with one page after another. This is apparently a northern book because it has the Benoni, it has the man apple. I think of that being a northern apple. Here's the Duchess of Oldenburg, and oh, some of these images are just beautiful. Here's the Magog. That's apparently a Russian apple. I don't remember. It should say in the description. Magog, what a beautiful image there. Here's one called Late Russian Apple. There was a period in the history of apple propagation when folks were introducing these Russian varieties for cold hardiness. And now it changes varieties, or changes trees, and we have some peaches here. And I dare say that most of these peaches are be hard to find now. Let's see, there is the Alexander peach. That may still be out there. And then we come on to some cherries. Let's see, I'm having a hard time reading these upside down. This is the Empress Eugenie. I don't know that cherry is still being propagated. Here is this is Ostam of Russian cherry. Here's the white Karun. Here is the Mammoth Bigaroo, and so on and on it goes here. Beautiful, beautiful artwork, and a record actually of the history of fruit propagation. I'm especially partial to these strawberry images here. They just glow here, and this is probably from the 1870s as well. So these are wonderful, wonderful old images. Oh, here's one with a Victorian hand handing out this a berry. I just saw a plate book recently advertised for sale that had one of those in it. And then we move on over into our ornamentals. So, oh, it's a fascinating part of our, these plate books are a fascinating part of our horticultural history. They document what folks were growing and when, and even obscure varieties. I think perhaps that these plate books may document obscure varieties better than a lot of other sources, because the nurseryman would get this apple and he was partial to it and he'd send off and have it illustrated just like that Reeser green. And so you get some great images of some very rare varieties that may be out of circulation. So of Nurserymen and Platebooks, and we appreciate your listening. I'm Tim Hensley. Our website is www.oldvaapples.com.